You're listening to the Icandemy podcast, the podcast for people who can but don't know how. This is where you get actionable steps to turn vague dreams into blissful realities. And I'm your host, Omoshola Victoria Wolabi. So let's get started. Do you ever think to yourself, I want to be able to impact lives, leave an imprint in this world, but you feel isolated, stuck, unclear on how to show up or get started? If you've answered yes to this question, I want to extend a very special invitation to you to join us on our upcoming workshop, the Courageous Confidence Workshop. This workshop is live, where we get to work together on that call so that you can crack the confidence code, awaken your inner giant, show up authentically, and attract your tribe. Head on over to offers.icandemy.org/courageous. Again, it's offers.icandemy.org/courageous. You'll find the links in the show notes below. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Icandemy podcast. So I'm super excited to be here recording this episode for you today. How have you been? How's your week been? How has the new year been treating you? Now, I'm sure some of us are back to work or some of us are still in holiday mode. Whatever it is for you, it is my prayer that you continue to grow this year. On the last episode, we talked about recognizing growth stunters. So what are the things that could stunt our growth as we try to grow this year? It was absolutely important that we recognize those factors that could contribute to stunting our growth this year. And just as a quick reminder, we identified that there are three things that could stunt our growth. It would be malnutrition, repeated infections, and isolation. And we expanded to say malnutrition is when we take in advice that does not nourish our dreams, our goals, and our desires. Another repeated infections is when we constantly share our goals and our desires with people who do not understand or have no business talking to us about our dreams, and they infect our dreams with their negativity, and sometimes it could even be out of goodwill, right? But they just don't see the vision, they don't understand it, and then they say things that infect those dreams in our heart. The third one was isolation, whereby we tend to isolate ourselves from the world because we feel like nobody gets us, nobody understands what we're trying to do. We're angry at the world, so to speak, and then we tend to isolate ourselves. And I shared how those three things have to be absolutely recognized and weeded out of our lives so that we can grow this year. But then it got me thinking again that there are times when we actually don't have any of those problems, right? We're not malnourished, we don't have repeated infections, and we are not isolated. But then it looks like there is this hidden force that tends to halt our growth, even when we have the strongest desire to perform, right? We know what we want. It's burning in our heart. We really want it, but we just cannot bring ourselves to do it. What causes that to happen? And I identified three hidden forces. This, of course, is building up from our last episode where we recognize the growth stunters. But for those of us who may not be affected by growth stunters, you are affected by something that you cannot even place a name on, that you just know there's something not right. I just decided to title this The Three Hidden Forces That Halt Our Growth. What are those hidden forces that I identified? Number 1, fear. Number 2, resistance. Number 3, impatience. I'm going to expand on those three a little bit more. Let's talk about fear. What is fear? Fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Now, this is the kicker. Whether real or imagined. Yes, you can imagine a situation that is not real and still feel the real emotion of fear. It often manifests in different forms. Fear can manifest itself in different forms. It can come as anger, It can come as anxiety. It can come as timidity. It can come as dread. Fear comes in different forms because it is this feeling within us. Whether the threat is real or imagined, it can manifest in our physical, everyday life. And sometimes it comes out as anger, anxiety, timidity, or dread. Now that's fear. Okay, family, let's face it. We've all felt pain. We've suffered the losses. You know what it's like to want something so bad, but not see a path to its accomplishment. The question, however, is, do you know how to pick yourself up and move on despite what has happened? This is what I share with you inside of my new book, Good Medicine for the Crushed Spirit, a practical guide to helping you find purpose when adversity strikes. Inside this book, you will find personal stories, relatable biblical tales, and anecdotes that prove you are never alone in your despair and will inspire you to turn pain, discomfort, disappointment, or setbacks into something positive that works for you. So if you're ready to change your life in meaningful and purposeful ways, get your copy of this book today and let the transformation begin. The second factor that is a hidden force that could hinder our growth this year is resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is the act or instance of opposing, right? So you want to go forward, but there's something pushing you back, right? Right now, as I'm saying this, I'm clenching my two fists together, right? And I'm trying to push my right fist with my left, and the right one is pushing back on the left, right? That is a typical example of resistance, right? It is a slowing force that refuses to give in. So you know what you want. You know you have to, start this business. You know you have to write that book. You know you have to apply for jobs. You want to do it in your heart. But it's so slow and subtle. It's crazy. That refuses to give in to what you want to do. So I guess it's what the Bible said when it says the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The flesh is in constant opposition to the spirit. That is what I mean by resistance. It is a slowing force that refuses to give in. It is a refusal to accept new ideas or changes. You really want to change. You know you have to change for your future's sake. But the past keeps holding you back. You are experiencing resistance. It is a force of non-compliance to the evolution of a higher self. So resistance, I'm just going to take that again. 1 is an act or instance of opposition or opposing. 2, it is a slowing force that refuses to give in. 3, it is a refusal to accept new ideas or changes. 4, it is a force of non-compliance to the evolution of our higher self. What is the third hidden force that halts our growth? Impatience. Yes, a lot of us want to grow, but we do not understand that growth takes time. Growth is a gradual process, like I said in the last episode. So a lot of us want to grow, but we are impatient. Impatience is a state of being eagerly desirous of something with a high intolerance or irritability with anything that impedes or delays that desire, right? So impatience is a state that we find ourselves when we are eagerly desirous of something. So we want that thing now, right? And we have a high intolerance at the same time, a high intolerance or irritability. We get irritated with anything that impedes or delays that desire, including time. Yes. And most times, time is of the essence when we are pursuing our goals or our growth, rather, right? So a lot of us, because we want to grow and we're not seeing the results now, it feels like nothing is happening. We abandon the growth process. We say, this is not working. Can't do this anymore. Hasta la vista. Goodbye. I'm going back to my old ways that used to work for me. I just wanted to understand these things because these are very real things that could impede our growth this year. And I'm trying to bring our awareness to it so that we know how to deal with it this year. Of all the three that I mentioned, fear is the master of all negative emotions. Resistance feeds on fear. Impatience feeds on fear. So fear is the master of all three, right? We need to understand that fear is an emotion that was given to us to protect us from real harm, not imagined or perceived, real harm. But then in our mind, when we try to grow and our mind goes into overdrive, like, okay, it could be on two extremes, actually, is what I've experienced personally in my life. Sometimes you think, okay, I'm about to grow. I have the plan. I set out, what if this works? What if I'm successful? And then fear creeps in, the fear of success. On the other extreme, though, is what if this doesn't work? What if I waste my time? What will people say about this? Fear of failure, right? We should never be on either of the extremes. We should always be in the middle. What if it works? Yeah, good for me. What if it doesn't work? Good for me. I would have learned something in the process. That way, when we keep fear in check, we're able to keep resistance at bay, and understanding that when we pursue our growth goals this year, there is a factor called time. And unfortunately, the time it happens is not in our control. When we understand that, it would help us, save us a lot of headache. It will save us from resistance and impatience, because we will be able to take gradual steps. You're climbing the ladder gradually. We won't do stupid things like taking big chunks of action at the same time that would either cripple us or make us burn out where we cannot. All of these things have happened to me personally in my own life. And that is why I thought to bring it to our awareness today, that as we pursue our goal for growth this year, we should understand that there are some forces, very real forces, such as fear, resistance, and impatience, that could halt our growth if we are not aware. So it is my prayer for you today that you will be aware of these forces and then actively seek the help of God and the Holy Spirit to help you conquer fear, to help you navigate resistance, and keep impatience at bay. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And until the next one, where we're going to be discussing growth catalysts, keep on shining. This episode is sponsored by our very own Mogul Mindset Training. Are you ready to embrace new experiences, see opportunities where you thought there was none, and totally surprise yourself? Because you can, by unleashing the power of your mind. Mogul Mindset System is a 5-step system that helps you retrain your mind to work with you and not against you, so you can awaken your inner giant, 10x your impact, your income, and become truly unstoppable. The truth is, you, my friend, have a superpower, your creative genius. And I'm here to make that power multiply manyfold so you can get past fear, self-doubt, and finally start working and thriving in your life and business. Ready to unleash your superpowers? I thought you would. Head over to mogul.icandemy.org. That's mogul.icandemy.org to learn more. So there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And for more content like this, follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it's at Icandemy, the Facebook page. On Instagram, it's at Icandemy. Or come say hello over on my personal page. On Instagram, it's at Omoshola Speaks. On Facebook, it's Victoria Wolabi. Feel free to reach out, introduce yourself, say hello. I love meeting you. And if you have any stories that you feel will inspire another woman to action, I want to hear from you. I really do. I love hearing from you. Send me an email to hello@icandemy.org. So it's hello@icandemy.org.